It's hard to draw control charts in Excel unless you know all the formulas and you have all the time in the world to figure all that stuff out, which is what I've been doing for the last 15 years. So it's easy to draw a control chart in Excel. Here's an example of some data of viscosity of aircraft primer paint. And we just in the QI macros we had a pull down menu, and there's umpteen different kinds of control charts in here. But if you're not sure what chart to choose, we have a control chart wizard, and the QI macros are the only SPC package that have this, and it'll look at your data and say what's the best chart for you. And in this case it's going to choose the individuals in moving range or XMR chart. It'll give us our moving range chart first, prompt us for titles. I'm just going to click through that, but normally when I'm drawing these I tend to put in all of the titles so that we can recognize what it is we drew and when we drew it and so on. And here you can see that the viscosity is pretty normal, but the actual range between is red, which means it's out of control because there are too many points between 1 and -1 standard deviation down here. So more than 15 points in a row constitutes hugging, so that's an odd situation. So that's how easy that can be, and you can do this, it doesn't matter if it's manufacturing or healthcare. Here's a healthcare data called falls per 1,000 patient days, which we've calculated. Again, we can click on the control chart wizard, and it'll prompt us for titles again. And as we go through here, it'll prompt us for the X chart titles. And here you can see that we have a couple of points out of range here, so there's the QI macros will identify all of the out of control things, not just one above, but in this case there's 2 out of 3 above 2 standard deviations. Here's a run, a downward trend, so that actually shows that something was going on in the process. In the QI macros we can pick on a single point there, and that will actually bring up the QI macros chart menu, and we can say I want to show a process change. And so here you can see we've changed our process. And again, we can come back to our chart menu, redo the control chart rules, and you can see beforehand we were in control, and we have this downward trend. Let's check that one as well. And so here you can see we were actually in control, and when we made our process change, we've gone from a before of not so good, about 6 falls per 1,000 patient days, to 4 falls per 1,000 patient days. Now, we can also use Excel on some data that's just about defects. So here we have non-conforming units, so that's really defectives over a sample size. And again, we can select that data with our mouse, click on the QI macros. If you know what you're choosing, you could choose a P or a U chart. But again, if you choose the QI macros control chart wizard, it will ask you if there can be more than one defect per unit. And in this case, let's say no. That'll bring up a P chart. It'll go out and do all the calculations and put up our chart here and shows the upper and lower spec limits. And because our denominator here of units of sample size actually varies, we get a varying control limit. And you can see we have 1 point that's out of control here. And we could literally pick that 1 point, say I want to add text to that point, and say some sort of special cause. And that will describe what's going on with our process. Now this also works for healthcare data. So here's C-sections over deliveries. We could do this kind of endlessly for all of the different types of error data and defect data. So X charts are for variable data, that's usually decimals, and the attribute charts, the C, NP, P, and U chart, are literally for different kinds of defects and different kinds of sample sizes. And so that's the process for drawing a control chart in the QI macros. Very simple, very straightforward, and you can download a 30-day trial at qimacros.com/free stuff. Just look on the left-hand side for our free download.